Hey guys, what is going on? I wanted to go over some improvisational techniques so that you guys can become better improvisers when you have a solo in a song. So let's just get into the content here. All right, let's get into it. So sometimes, especially if you're doing a lot of music like Outrun, and I've done some tutorials about improvising, we don't know what kind of scales and what types of modes to use. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys a few techniques for improvising. So quite simply, this song is written in the key of A minor. So if you're familiar with the C major scale, this is basically the relative minor. Okay. So we're in the key of A minor. Now, for those of you on Patreon, I'll be going a little more in depth in terms of some clever little things that I use to improvise, and I'm going to show them all to you. But for the scope of this tutorial, I'm going to keep things very basic. And so if you listen to the chord progression here, especially this section here, this is where things get really interesting with these, this sort of run here. All right, so my bass is basically doing something like this. Yeah, here we go. We're on the F, G, A, and then it repeats itself. All right, so we're basically having a chord progression starting on the minor sixth note of that scale. So A, B, C, D, E, F. So this is the note, basically F, and then G, and then A. All right, so basically, you can think of it that way, or you can think of the entire thing being in the key of A minor. And I think sometimes that's the easiest way of going about this, especially if you're a beginner and you don't really understand music theory. Just blow in A. Blow, as a jazz musician, we use the term just to illustrate like playing in the key of A. You don't have to worry too much about chord tones. But again, I'll cover that a little more in depth in Patreon. So I have some sweet notes here that I want to pay attention to: the A, the C, the E, and of course the G. All right, so 1, 3, 5, 7. That's the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, the fifth note of the scale, and of course the minor seventh. You also have the ninth, which is the B. That to me is really sexy. That like, ninth of the chord, You can do some really cool things like that when you develop some runs. And so basically, you want to start practicing ways of creating short little melodic runs. So if you don't have experience with this, I advise you to start singing your runs, right? So have that chord progression in your head and start off with one note. So this is the key, right? And as you play the song, let me sort of mute this, and I'll sort of improvise here and sing the melody. Start off with one note. Hear that tonic, right? Bum, 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 bum. Do simple stuff like this. Bum, 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 bum. Now for the second run, make things a little more interesting. Bum, 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 bum. Same thing. Try to use 4 notes. Again. You can try different registers. All right, so we're just kind of having fun here, developing some techniques. You want to be familiar with some runs. And so once you start doing this, you start developing a repertoire, something that you can go to when you're in the heat of the moment and you want to improvise. So you'll stack up a lot of these runs, right? Miles Davis, great trumpet player from, 50s, 60s. That's how he became a boss, basically stacking up all these bebop runs, all that stuff, playing with Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker. He ended up developing a repertoire of runs. And so that's what you want to do. You want to have your favorite runs that you can go to, the ones that feel good under your fingertips. And so that's how you develop a catalog, right? You're developing a catalog, all right? So anyways, let's take this over to Patreon and I'll go a little deeper into the methodology here.